Hello! For those who don't know me, I am Emery Lee, and this will be a break from reality with Emery Lee. Shall we begin? Hi everyone, I'm Emery Lee. I'm an author, artist, and musician. I decided that I wanted to do something different with my time on the internet, and so I am making an AuthorTube. So to be clear, an AuthorTube is just a YouTube channel for authors, but for me personally, I find that my author life very rarely stays separate from my personal life as well as my music and art life, so I can say I'm probably going to be combining a lot of those things on this channel, but for now, we'll call it an AuthorTube. So today I'm going to be doing an intro video slash the newbie tag just to kind of get my channel off the ground. I haven't really decided everything that I want to do on this channel yet, but for today, I think answering a few questions about me and just kind of introducing myself and what I do is probably the best place to start. My book pitch. Oh no. What I love about being asked to pitch my book is I always have to figure out which one, because I'm currently drafting 3 different novels. I'm revising 2, and I just went on sub with 1. So it's always a struggle of which one I should bring to the forefront, but given that this is my intro video, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the book that got me my agent, which is my book Meet Cute Diary. Meet Cute Diary is the story of a trans boy who decides to make up his own meet cutes and document them on a blog, since he doesn't think that being a trans multiracial teenager he's ever gonna find real love for himself. And the blog takes off, it becomes this massive hit and people love it. And eventually he gets a couple of Tumblr trolls who decide to tank his blog by exposing the stories as being fake. In order to prove that the blog is real and that the stories are authentic, he stages a meet cute romance with one of his readers, and the whole story just kind of goes wild from there. Yeah, at the end of the day, Meet Cute Diary is a romance. It's a rom-com, but it's really a story about finding yourself and finding friendship and learning to rely on the people who care about you when you need them, as opposed to trying to tough it out and do it all on your own. So I hope the story really rings true for trans readers, and hopefully it will be a very successful sub-period and it will be on shelves one day. Okay, so this one's a little bit weird. I would say that I am a contemporary fantasy in a very, very, very dark setting. Probably something akin to Blue Exorcist meets Bungo Stray Dogs. Nobody knows what I'm talking about because I only speak in anime. But anyway, it would be a dark contemporary fantasy with really awkward humor shoved in there, and probably weird superpowers that seem completely nonsensical but get used in really cool ways. I usually write young adult fiction, which ranges a lot. Rom-coms, regular contemporaries of any sort, fantasy, sci-fi. I just finished a YA horror novel. I have a lot of YA, but I also write middle grade and adult on occasion. My adult stories are usually confined to short stories because I just find that a lot easier and more convenient, and it's easier to swerve around the adult things that I don't adult well. For middle grade, I mostly write fantasy, some contemporary fantasy, some high fantasy. Right now I'm working on both, but my main focus for middle grade is definitely fantasy, though I would say I'd be willing to branch out a little bit in that category. But I don't know that I could ever do middle grade contemporary, because what was I even doing? Something I would never write. I'm gonna say never say never, except when it comes to erotica. I will never write erotica. I can't even read it most of the time. For real, I'm too ace to write erotica. It can never happen. But congrats to all of you who can, because that is a superpower. My goal for starting an AuthorTube is just kind of to breach that line that's limited by mostly being an author on Twitter. I find that the person that I am when I'm talking to people is very different than the person that I can appear to be when I'm posting a tweet. So I wanted to have a place where I could kind of bridge that gap and kind of show people a little more of my actual personality. I wanted a place that I could collect video of my books and things talking about my books, because I am a huge video nerd. I did TV production for a little while in college, and I've been making videos since I was a kid, so to not have a video medium is kind of weird for me, and I definitely wanted a chance to collect all of those videos into one place and make them really easily accessible so that people could kind of explore that element of both my life and my writing career, and I guess anything else that I kind of decide to include with it later, so we'll see. What made me want to start writing? I actually didn't think I was writing. I know that doesn't make sense. I started writing when I was about 8 years old, and I was essentially trying to make up for the fact that Charmed was over. So for those of you who don't know me very well, Charmed was my favorite show for most of my life. It still kind of is. It's a special place in my heart. But I was very in love with that show. I was in love with the characters and the world and all that kind of stuff. So when I first really got into writing, it was kind of just me finding ways to explore that story and that world, but with different characters who were my own. I gave them different names, and I titled the book, and it was really bad, and no one's allowed to know what it was called. And I, made a cover for it. I designed really terrible cover art, and I printed it out, and I put it in a folder, and we're just gonna kind of pretend that it didn't exist starting now. But that was kind of how I got my first start writing. Even after that, I did a lot of fan fiction for a really long time. Back in 2015, I had a fandom blog on Tumblr, and I did a lot of fan fiction there, but that was for a different series. But I think that fanfiction was definitely my biggest motivator as a young writer, and it's still a really big motivator for me now. But it was basically just diving into these worlds and these stories and not wanting to leave them behind. So that's basically where all of that came from. My publishing path is actually really interesting. I went self-pub initially. I put out a YA fantasy novel, as well as a adult short story collection, and I also have a webcomic that I currently release on Tapas weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. I started out with self-pub largely because I knew that I wanted to get these books out, and I knew I didn't want to wait, and they were projects that I had started working on previously that in the long haul I didn't see being traditionally published, and I didn't see them really appealing to mass market editors or anything like that, so I just went ahead and self-published them. And I'm actually really glad I did, because not only do I love self-pub, but I actually made a really cool community putting those books out. More recently, I've decided that I do want to go traditional publishing on at least a few of my books. I definitely have projects that I relegate to the self-pub category as opposed to the traditional publishing category, but I do want to have some of that reach that comes with traditional publishing. And I think that for certain stories, I think that's definitely the best way to go. It's kind of about the book and kind of about what you want for the book, so that's kind of always been my motto. I also have, I'm actually part of a couple different anthologies. I'm currently an editor for the Common Bonds anthology, which releases in February. It's an anthology about aromantic characters that focuses on platonic relationships. I was also part of the Keep Faith anthology, an anthology about the intersections of faith and queerness, and that was one that I wrote for. I wrote a very, very short flash fiction piece. Sometimes it's just great to write flash fiction. There's so much less pressure, but so much more emotion. It's painful. So I'm kind of a what do they call that? So yeah, I kind of bounce a little between publishing mediums, and I love it. I think it's great. I'm not really good at sticking to one thing, so I think this is a really good path for me. Kind of always open to, you know, change and trying new avenues, so I guess the next thing I need to do is publish with a small publisher? Who knows? Ooh, content I bring to AuthorTube. Yikes. I mean, I'm not all that exciting, but let's see, what can I bring to AuthorTube? I think that sometimes I approach writing and publishing in general in kind of a new way. So I think that would be kind of fun to share with AuthorTube. And maybe some of my other stuff, like some of my art, my music, my book trailers, I don't know, whatever I guess I feel like sharing. My biggest writing struggle is picking a project and sticking to it, so I don't. I typically juggle about 4 or 5 projects at the same time between drafting and revising. I find that my biggest issue is that I will come up with an idea and I'll love it, and then 3 days later I'll come up with a slightly better idea that I love just a little bit more, and then I can't really focus on the original idea. So definitely my biggest struggle is keeping myself focused on one project and kind of like balancing my love for my projects and kind of making sure that the project that I'm working on is getting my full attention at all times, as opposed to me kind of writing it and then thinking while I'm writing it, oh, you know, it'd be really nice to work on a different project. No, finish this project, get it done, good. My biggest writing skill is character. No doubt, absolutely, without question, character. Yeah, I mean, my characters are not just characters. They are people. They're me, and they are my friends, and they are, you know, characters that I've absorbed from media in the past, but all of my characters are very well fleshed out, very deep. I like to give them a lot of character, you know, both in their dialogue and the way they dress and the way they move, and just everything about fleshing out a character for me is what makes writing fun. And for me, it's also what makes writing real, and it's what makes the world come alive in your book and makes it feel real to your reader. So yes, definitely my characters. I am looking for new channels to follow. I'm not a big YouTube user. I've kind of danced with it for the past, I don't know, 10 years. And the thing is, I'm not good at long form videos because I have a very short attention span, but I do like engaging with YouTube, and I do like engaging with the writing community in general. So that's definitely something I would like to do, though I will admit that I spend most of my internet time on Twitter, so it is going to be hard for me to balance another social media platform. But yeah, I would definitely like to connect with other AuthorTube channels and find some new stuff to watch, and hopefully some new people to learn from and some new friends that I can take with me on my, you know, publishing journey and all that kind of stuff. I think the thing I'm most excited about is just kind of to showcase a different side of me, but also to explore that different side of me. I find that social media can, in a lot of ways, be all-consuming, and you kind of start to build this persona whether you want to or not, and you kind of get trapped in that persona. And I think that YouTube is going to be the first place where my persona is kind of actually more me. I'm not making my AuthorTube so that I can market myself or necessarily establish myself in the publishing world like I did with my Twitter and even with my Tumblr way back when. And so I think that this is my chance to just kind of be myself and kind of explore the things that I want to explore, as opposed to trying to be the person that I know people want to see. I think it's definitely a fresh start. So yeah, I guess that basically covers my intro video. So thank you for watching this video. If you would like to subscribe, feel free to. If you don't want to, it's fine. I'm probably gonna mostly cross-post these anyway. But yeah, if you want to subscribe, I would absolutely appreciate it. And if not, you can always find me on other social media. I am on Twitter, I am on Instagram, and I am kind of still on Tumblr. That one's kind of iffy, but I've been over the last couple days, so I'll take that as a win. And I hope you'll look forward to whatever I put out next. I'm actually kind of unsure as to what I want to put out next, so if you follow me on Twitter, I will be posting a poll after I post this video, so feel free to vote on what you want to see from me. Okay, bye.